How are we all doing today? My name is David Gugino, and in today's book review, I'll be re-reviewing another book, but this book I actually recently just reread. And then hopefully in the next few weeks I'm going to be doing re-reviews, but I got a book that I'm starting, and the book that I'm starting the next week will be a very good book to review. It's very different, so hopefully we can knock that out in a few weeks. But the book that I have for us today is from a father and son who both own the same business, are both very good influencers, are both very good, strong Christian people. Is Born to Win, Find Your Success by Zig Ziglar and Tom Ziglar. Now, for those of you who don't know, Zig Ziglar is actually a pretty famous guy. He travels all the time doing motivational speeches. I say travels all the time. For 20, 30 years, he's owned businesses, he's raised a family, he's traveled, been a very good motivational speaker, a very good Christian speaker, and actually on the back here, actually doesn't say anything about him and his family, but he is a New York Times best-selling author, and he's had books that have been on top of the charts, and a bunch of people who own businesses and make a lot of money all have read a lot of his stuff. So he's a pretty famous guy, but now we're going to dive into the book here, and he also has podcasts, and he's got videos of him speaking all over YouTube and stuff like that. Now, the noise you hear in the background, the patter, there's actually a thunderstorm that's happening outside right now. So I would say try to ignore that, but if you hear thunder or lightning or hear my house flash or see my house flash, it's thunderstorm. But we're going to dive into the book here. So, we are going to talk about will, skill, and refill. A little method that Tom Ziglar has, so just listen to what he has to say here. Listen to this. Inspiration is powerful, and Dad may have been the most inspirational person on the planet, but inspiration only lasts so long. Hope is much different. When you have the hope that things can change and a plan to make that change possible, then you can take action. When Dad told his story, it literally flipped the hope switch in people because they could identify with him. If he can, I can. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to what happens to you. Will. This is the want to. This is the heart, the desire, the attitude, the passion that people have. Skill. This is the how to. Skill, the process. This is the skill, the process, the technical expertise that people have. And refill. This is reinforcing the will and skill. There is no such thing as one and done. Training and development. Will and skill must be developed and reinforced daily. Take the will away from any person and you will have at best someone who is just taking up space, and at worst, someone who is a real drain on their company and their family. Without skill, no matter what you do, you will create an endless cycle of frustration. Without refill, it is impossible to maintain the difference-making levels of will and skill. You need to achieve the level of success you desire. So, when it comes to that, if you don't have either, because that's why I talk about character so much on this channel, because if you do not have certain character traits or certain traits, you will not be successful. Now, that doesn't mean that you can be a jerk and still be successful, but you still have to be motivated, you still have to have will, you have to have skill, and you have to be willing to refill the will and skill over and over. And honestly, if you really think about it, you can control how you respond to what happens to you. So honestly, you might think, well, David, what if the will, skill, and refill doesn't work, but I continue to work harder, especially just working harder? But you might think, what happens when nothing happens? Honestly, something will pay off. You have to have in your head, something will pay off, but that is why you have to have the will, the want to, the heart, the desire, the attitude, and the passion. You need to have all of that. And then when it comes to hope, I mean, you also have to have hope that you can change. Because honestly, you might not be motivated to run a business now, you might not be motivated to work out now, but you eventually should have hope that you will have to. Now you have to accept the fact that it's your fault. It's no one else's fault that you don't have the motivation to do anything else with your life. It's nobody's fault. It's yours. But honestly, having hope to get the will, skill, and refill method in your head is doable. You just have to be willing to change yourself to get there. So think about that. That we have in this book is something a little more in depth, but the chapter is called "You Can Do More Than You Think." You ever think about that? You ever think like, hey, I'm worth more, I can do more with my life? Like right now I'm working at a factory. But do you ever think like, hey, or if you work construction or any other blue collar job, you ever think I can do more, I can do something else with my life? I mean, I'm kind of at that stage right now, but something you have to have in your head, if you do have this mindset, is you're doing well and you're making money and hopefully you're paying your bills. That's what you gotta think about, because paying your bills is very, very important, and doing adult things is very, very important. So now, you can do more than you think. Listen to this. Listen to what he has to say. Your experience influences how high you think you can go. Preparing yourself to win is crucial to success. I once heard that preparation is the foundation for any level of achievement. I'm totally convinced this is so. Whether you're preparing for an athletic event, an important speech, a sales call, or a camping trip, the better prepared you are, the better the results. The great Tom Landry said, if you are prepared, you will be confident, and you will do the job. It's true, planning and preparing gives you the confidence you need and the right to expect to win. What does it mean to be prepared? It means equipping yourself with the tools, skills, knowledge, and attitude you will need to achieve all that you plan. I hope you set lots of high goals for yourself after reading Part 1 of Born to Win. I know the completion of those goals will lead you to the successful attainment of your vision. But what if your vision is to become a jet pilot, and you don't know how to fly? I think you get the idea. To become a jet pilot, you will have a lot of preparation and equipping to do before you have a shot at turning your vision into a reality. So as we begin the second stage of the Born to Win process, whenever I say prepare, just understand I'm talking about equipping yourself with the tools, skills, knowledge, and attitudes you need to turn your plans into reality. So think right there. Tools, skills, knowledge, and attitudes. Honestly, attitude is a huge one. Because a lot of people think, well, I want to do this, but I don't want to fail. I don't want to mess up. Or they do fail, and then they just don't ever try again. Now, in some situations, you'll fail, and then they'll be like, oh, well, you gotta wait 3 more years to try again. In that case, I would tell them to stick it, because I'm like, I'm not waiting 3 years to try again. But it also all depends on how bad you want it. But tools, skills, knowledge, and attitude. And I really love what he says here. Preparation, and equipping. So, this actually does sound familiar from the last book review I did, but think about preparation and equipping. You can't just apply to flight school and then expect to not know how to fly. Do some research. Ask someone else who does it. See if you can take a flying lesson or something like that. But when it comes to learning something new or having like a new or even a job promotion, a lot of companies won't promote you till you take initiative to learn about that job. So honestly, if you really think about it, yourself is very important with anything in life. Before you work out, watch videos on how to warm up. Watch videos on form. Talk to a personal trainer. With learning how to cook, find something easy to cook. Find out how to prepare efficiently so you don't have to go to the grocery store every time you find something you don't need. So these are different examples, but these examples are like what people go through. It's reality. And another thing I want to influence on this channel is living in reality. Because when you start a business, you also some people don't prepare how hard they have to work. They don't know how hard it is. They don't know how hard it is to accept failure and accept low sales and stats and stuff like that. They also don't know that, the first thing that I said, they don't know how hard they have to work. So when it comes to hard work, the mindset that I have is, what if we work just a little bit harder? It's like at my job. Right now, learning to operate a machine. I'm like, what if we tried to make a little... I make plastic. What if I tried to make a little more plastic before I went to break? What if I tried to load the machine before I went to break? What if, not the what if part, but basically, if you, in any job, just say, what if I worked a little bit harder before I went to break? Alright, I want to go to break. Well, what if we worked just a little bit harder? So kind of like that. It's like the Navy SEAL mindset that I watched a while back. They're like, okay, we'll quit after breakfast. They eat breakfast. We'll quit after the first training session. They do the first training session. You know what? We'll quit after the second training session. If you notice, that pattern repeats. So preparing yourself does take work, but it also shows you how to work. So when the time actually comes, you can work hard and use the tools, skills, and knowledge and the attitude that you develop. Keep in mind, by yourself, because that's huge. If you change your attitude and change your work ethic, it's huge. And you may not think that, but it's huge. But change that and change that, and then you'll have the tools you need. And change that, and you'll have the tools to turn your plans into a reality. Now the third and final section that I have of Zig Ziglar's Born to Win. So something I'm going to start doing is so I don't repeat the stuff in this video. I'm probably going to watch the last few videos of when I do these so I don't repeat the same stuff. Because I honestly think that some of the stuff I say I do repeat. But we'll see how it goes. So now, this next section is called Who Succeeds? Who succeeds? So listen to what Tom and Zig Ziglar have to say. Listen to this. Individuals who understand the principle of having to make an investment in their lives before they can expect success are far more productive and proactively seek out information and assistance they need to be successful in their endeavors. Individuals who keep growing in knowledge are the ones who succeed. Doctors, for example, have to spend inordinate amounts of time reading and learning new things about their specialty. You might ask whether you would want to go to a doctor who stopped learning things 20 years ago with the world changing as rapidly as it is. The people who are the most successful are the ones who have the greatest thirst for knowledge. The fact about knowledge is that you have to understand it as a tool of life. And like any tool, you have to take care of it. Management expert Peter Drucker said knowledge has to be improved, challenged, and increased constantly or it vanishes. A friend of mine once told me the details of the knowledge he gained in college many decades ago have largely vanished from his mind. He said his geology class was an example of vanishing information. When he took geology, he could recite all kinds of facts about the subject. He could identify types of rocks by sight and name. And today, he retains nothing specific because he hasn't really thought about or used the information he learned in geology. So as you are preparing to win, it is very important that you understand that learning new things, acquiring knowledge, will make it possible for you to recognize opportunities as they are presented to you. If a new opportunity violates my principles, it is not an opportunity for me. You cannot go wrong doing what's right. So think about that for a second. When it comes to knowledge, I really love the example that he used for the geology thing. Because if you ask people, I mean I'm 25, if you ask people who've been in college 20 years ago, they're probably like people who just have a degree to get a job as a teacher or as someone in HR. They're just like, well, I don't remember this and I don't remember that. And then you also just got to think, in reality, that's how it works. But also, like what he says, challenge. Sometimes knowledge changes. Sometimes facts change. It's like with building muscle. Originally, people will say, hey, 5 sets of 20 get you bigger arms. Then someone later said, well, if you do 4 sets of 10, but have a slow tempo, you can build your arms that way. And then someone said, all you have to do is reach a stimulus. You can do a set of 20, and then boom, there's your arm workout. There's your arms. There's your set of arms. So, it does change, and it is challenged, and like there is a book that I don't really need to read, but I want to read. It's called Nutrient Timing. It's a book years and years ago, and it talks about workouts and the benefits of eating beforehand and the effects of eating, let's say 3 hours later or even an hour later or even immediately after. But what a challenge was, well, what's the difference? Does it make any difference eating after? Does it make any difference eating after 3 hours? Does it do anything after 4 hours? So kind of like that, but the point is the knowledge in that book was challenged years down the road, because people are just like, some people say it's really good to eat immediately after, and then some people say it's good to eat 3 hours after. But a lot of people do say, some exercise scientists, an exercise scientist that I watched said, honestly, it's like a 5% increase in like the calories getting to your muscles, the proteins, the sugars. It's not a huge thing eating immediately after a workout. And honestly, get this, the same thing happens after 3 hours after eating after a workout. It happens, it goes to your muscles, but it's not as quick and you don't get as much in there because it was 3 hours after. But it's not that much of an advantage. But the other thing, I love what he says here, is individuals who keep growing in knowledge are the ones who succeed. Now, I also understand you can learn different things. I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm learning more about weightlifting, and I'll do the bench press and weightlifting. I'm learning more about nutrition. I'm learning about my job. I'm learning about more money skills and my people skills, actually. And honestly, when you improve yourself and improve your life and improve your mind, new opportunities are going to come. And not only that, but it's attractive to people. People love people who want to learn and who want to educate themselves and who want to work to learn more. People love that. And it's just like in life. It's honestly like in life. You do what you gotta do to learn and do what you gotta do to be successful. And when it comes to learning, your phone is on you. When you're sitting at the doctor's office, you can watch a YouTube video of how to, well, we use working out as an example, how to get bigger triceps. You can listen in your car to a podcast about how to build muscle. You can learn Spanish by talking into a thing, probably while you're at a stoplight or something on the road, and learn a second language while driving. So you can not only learn easily, but you can learn any time of the day. That's the other thing, like you have time to learn. You have time to learn. So now, I really do like this book. It is very good. I'm very thankful that I read it again because I learned a lot more. And the takeaway for today is gain knowledge about something. And the other takeaway for today is look for opportunities. Even if you have a job you like, just look for opportunities to either meet someone, have more fun in your life. Just look for opportunities and gain knowledge. Otherwise, I hope you all read this book. Zig and Tom Ziglar are great people. They're very knowledgeable in what they do. And I want to thank you all for watching, and you all have a wonderful day.